Good morning, Niner fans. Maybe good afternoon to some others, and maybe even good evening. How the heck are we feeling, man? The Niners punched their ticket to the NFC Championship, as we know last night. Green Bay Packers, masterclass 24-21. I'm just so hyped up. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you're at. How the heck is everybody doing today? I am so happy. I woke up in like one of the best moods ever. It was great, man. It was a stressful game last night, obviously, but you know what? I'm glad we won a game like that. Like that's just it's an all-time game, and you sit there and you're like, man, we won that game. Like if we lost, we'd be sick to our stomachs. But it was an incredible game, an incredible atmosphere. I mean, it's playoffs, man. That's what you want. Like you watch these games on TV, and you were like, when you see a game like that, you're like, man, what a game! Like, can you imagine being there? And yesterday we were there, so. Yeah, I'm sure everybody lost my. I had a lot of tea this morning. Had to drink a lot of water. My throat was really like raspy this morning. We're good though, but that was crazy. I mean, just how much everybody's yelling and screaming and trying to like feed that energy to the team. So yeah, glad we got that too, Josh. But man, oh man, now today we sit back, we relax, we can watch this Lions and the Bucks go at it, and my man Ted says he was at the game yesterday, one for the books and history. Yeah, it was definitely one of those all time games. We're gonna look back at this game in years, and I mean, in just a couple weeks or months or whatever, we're gonna look back at this game and just be like, man, you remember that game? And if you were there, you're gonna be like, those memories are gonna be crazy. I was talking about this earlier, like when you're an old person, when you're sitting there and you got your grandkids there, and you sit them down and you tell them stories about the Niners. This is going to be one of those stories that you sit down and tell all your young ones. Man, it was amazing. 49ers Packers 2024 January 20th. The Niners came and they had their hands full against the Packers, and it's just going to be one of those stories that we can sit back and enjoy. And when there's throwback pics or throwback posts, and in sports media, they're gonna always go, remember that day on January 20th, and they're gonna post this game, and we're gonna be like, what a game. And we can remember those moments that if you were at the game or you're watching the game, you're gonna remember how you were feeling. And it's just unreal. So my man, hey, Peter Parker says, my blood pressure hasn't come back down to normal yet. I don't think anybody's blood pressure is back down. Like took me a while to sleep because I was just so hyped up, man. I was watching the videos. I watched the game again, like from the broadcast, and being at the game is different. So I was watching the broadcast, getting clips and stuff, and just what a game, man! It was just amazing. It was literally amazing. And you're right. It was a stressful situation. Your blood pressure's at an all-time high, and you just hyped up, man, and that game had you feeling everything. It had you feeling nervous. It had you feeling agitated. It had you feeling angry. It had you feeling down. It had you feeling high. You were like all over the emotions, like like a roller coaster. You were like whoop, 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 mad, sad, happy, yelling. When CMC got the touchdown and Kittle got the touchdown, the first interception by Greenlaw, just so many big plays. And we talk about Jauan Jennings, so many unsung heroes. Mike Conley, or Chris Conley, sorry. Chris Conley hadn't done anything this season, maybe like 3 catches. And that catch he had was just a phenomenal play. It was a beautiful pass by Brock. And like those little plays are the reasons why teams win. Like, yes, you can talk about how great CMC was. It was amazing. And Dre Greenlaw, like the stars are supposed to star and do their thing. But those role players like Jennings, those role players like, Conley and Diamond Lenore, and just those small little minute plays we sometimes forget, and we're like, man, those are the little plays that you string along that get you those dubs. And another big guy that needs to get his recognition, and I posted about him this morning, is Jake Moody, man. He definitely deserves his flowers. He was a guy that was getting a lot of hate coming into this game. Everybody's questioning him. And he even had during the game, he got a field goal blocked, and it was kind of dicey situation. We're like, oh man, because you block a field goal, mentally that's tough to recover from. But he was able to recover, and he nailed a 52-yarder just like down the middle. It was like, well, okay. Shout out to Kyle and John Lynch, man. They trusted this guy, and he came through when they needed it. And that was the difference of the game, the 3 points. Obviously, the Packers missed their field goal, but in a clutch stressful game, man, those are the little moments. And again, he got his field goal blocked. I'm sure he was stressed up when he had to go up there and take that kick, but he nailed it, man. 52-yarder. Oh man, he stared adversity in the face. So, a shout out to Kyle Shanahan, man. I said it last night. This guy needs his respect. He's 3-0 against LaFleur. Those two guys battled. They knew each other. LaFleur knew the game plan. He was, doing the little screen passes, and he knows exactly what works against Kyle Shanahan. And he literally was doing it. And Kyle made the adjustments, and he figured it out towards the end. But it was back and forth, seesaw, two wizards going at it. It's like watching the episode of Harry Potter, and the two wizards going at which wizard's going to take the throne. Is it going to be Gryffindor? Is it going to be Slytherin? Which house is taking it? And that's literally how it was. It was two wizards going at it, man. The Professor Snape vibes right there. So I loved it, man. It made for a great game, great for great content, like cinematic type of game, man. I hope Deebo's okay. Me too, Josh. So let's talk about Deebo. According to Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter today, he will be getting tests, and they're going to see how his shoulder feels today. It was a scary situation. A lot of people are hating on Deebo, and I'm so irritated about that because they saying he's soft, is just a shoulder injury. A couple months ago after Cleveland, he had just a shoulder injury, and it ended up being a hairline fracture. So we can't sit here and discredit Deebo. He's been a heck of a player for this team, and we saw how much the Niners needed Deebo in their offense yesterday. When he was out, took them some time to adjust. Of course they had players step up, like we talked about. Jennings, Conley, Kittle played great, and CMC. But Deebo is so important. He does a lot for this offense. Tone setter. He kind of does all the motions. He sets up plays, and he kind of takes coverage off of a guy like Brandon Ayuk. You have to account for Deebo Samuel. So he's important to this offense. We definitely need him. He's a big-time threat to do anything. So, I saw a lot of comments hating on Deebo and this and that. This man gets so much hate for whatever reason. I don't know, man. But I hope he's okay. He's getting tests. And, yesterday he did say that he's fine. This was last night, according to Schefter. But at the same time, you just never know. And he's running to get tests today. And we'll get an update hopefully soon. There is a chance that he could play in the NFC Championship game. But if not, man, his team got to strap it up and step up in his absence. Guys like Jennings and Conley have to keep stepping up. Rashad says, you got to forget about the Super Bowl and get ready for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. Yeah, it's coming up. We got to get ready for that. But right now, we got to gear up. This Super Bowl run it's intense right now. Duzit says, what's the story on Deebo? What was his injury? They haven't specified yet, but it is a shoulder injury, according to all the reports. He says he's okay again, but they got to run tests. I hope it's not serious. We don't have an official word, but again, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. In terms of Deebo Samuel, we need that guy out there. He's very, 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 very important for this team. His offense again. He's one of the catalysts for this team, and I feel like he kind of helps set the plays up. His motions and his ability to go over the middle, and just you can check it down to Deebo, and he's going to get a big play, and he's always a threat. The Yak led offense is dictated by Deebo a lot of times. So I hope he's okay, man. And he's a captain. He's a leader. The energy he provides to this team is a huge spark. So definitely going to hopefully need to have him back. So. Yeah, he's definitely a difference maker. Does it? Rest Deebo. I don't know, man. If he's healthy, I think you strap him up and play. If he's healthy and he's able to play, because you just don't want to take any chances. You never know. You never know, man. You got to play to win. I'm sure the team could probably, step up, and you got Jennings and guys that can step up. But Deebo not being in the lineup would be a huge factor for the Niners. You saw that offense kind of sputter a little bit last night, and obviously the rain played a factor. It was crazy. I'm sure, the feel of the ball, it's hard for a quarterback to get his rhythm in the rain. It's just one of those things. Rain games are frustrating. They're tough. And you saw Brock try to wipe his hand, in the middle of that was crazy. Ball snap, wiping the ball on his, jersey, trying to get his hand dry so he can throw the pass like that. That's crazy. It's hard to grip the ball, And, there was times he had the glove on, he took the glove off, and he just couldn't get that feel of the ball. But I feel like fourth quarter came, Thankfully, the rain stopped in that fourth quarter. It didn't go until the 49ers had clinched the game. It's like Mother Nature said, okay, all right, guys, I'm going to Mother Nature you and take a little breather. I'm going to go take a rest. I'm going to take a little nap. You guys do your thing, 49ers, and then I'll come back after my 20-minute nap. And that's literally what happened, because as soon as the 49ers pretty much sealed the game, the rain poured, and I'm like, you got to be joking me. Are you kidding me? Now comes the rain? You could have just stopped for the whole game, but you made it stressful for us. And, Brock, that final drive, man, ice in the veins. Ice in the veins. The scramble, come on, man. That scramble play was legendary. And, you got to look at the narrative, because everybody's talking tonight how great Jordan Love was, and he was. But he did end up having the mistakes. He did throw some, Brett Favre-esque type plays. He was gunslinging it. And there was a few plays where I was like, man, why is he doing that? Still have 40 seconds left on the clock, and he forced some throws. The 2 interceptions, obviously one got tipped, but Jordan Love getting a lot of credit. Now, if Brock Purdy would have made those interceptions, if Brock Purdy would have sold the game, and he would have, been on the losing side of this game, the media would have ate him alive, spit him up, and they wouldn't have said, oh, well, he had a heck of a game. But that's not the case. And again, I love Jordan Love, but let's keep it real. Brock Purdy, he struggled, but he came on and he diced them up at the end, and he turned out to have the game-winning drive, and that is when it matters. Clutch money situation, game on the line, and Brock Purdy diced it and delivered. There was 2 game-winning attempted drives. Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. Jordan Love's ended in an interception by Dre Greenlaw. That's the difference. Brock Purdy didn't throw a pick. He was 6 for 7. The scramble play, amazing. And he was throwing, darts to Jennings, darts to Conley. And then I think the media needs to kind of realize that, hey, man, yeah, okay, Brock might have struggled a little bit in the early part of the game. It was a rain game. But when the second half came and that fourth quarter came, he was on it, man. And that's where the media, let's see how they play it out this week. You got to give Brock his poise, his credit for being poised and staying through till the end of the game. Because, man, again, if he would have threw those picks, the media they were waiting to pounce on Brock. So they really were, man. My man Rashad says Jauan Jennings is better than Crabtree wearing number 15. Whew, let's talk about it, man. Is Jauan Jennings officially better than Michael Crabtree? Michael Crabtree had some heck of a time here when he was a rookie. Bro was holding out. He had some good seasons here and there, but Jauan Jennings, man, he's clutch. He's made some huge clutch passes, man. Catches. Crabtree was nice with it. When he was on, he was on. There was a few seasons where, like, Crabtree was money. He had some big plays too, but crunch situations, man. Jennings has made some big catches. Last night, 5 catches, 61 yards. 4 of those catches were for first downs, man. Like, this guy is clutch. And he's not like a wide receiver 1 or anything. He's just your role-playing wide receiver 3, possession type guy. But he earned a check last night. He proved that he's valuable to any football team. I mean, unbelievable. And bro's ready to throw hands whenever he needs to. He was out there throwing the DB into the Gatorade bottle, the Gatorade table. Man, Jennings he is an X factor. He's cold, man. I think if he was a wide receiver 1 or 2 on another team, he'd be able to step up and prove himself. Obviously, he doesn't have the speed, you need to be a wide receiver on the outside boundary and stuff. But the guy is a fantastic receiver. At where his role is, he is fantastic. Great possession receiver. Got great hands. He's gutsy. He'll go over the middle. He'll take the hit. He's a fantastic blocker. I don't know if I want to say he's better than Crabtree. I mean, Crabtree had, like, sick talent, his athleticism. But in terms of making more clutch passes, or catches, you can argue, man. Jennings, in a short amount of time so far, has been one of the most clutch receivers the 49ers have had in a long time, man. Yeah, he's good, man. He's so strong. Just when he stiff arms someone, he stiff arms them to the next weekend. It's one of those guys that you just love to see on this team. A glue guy. He's so underrated, and I would hate to lose this guy. I hope the 49ers bring him back. He's a 7th round pick, bro. Is a freaking 7th round pick. And you know what? I want to show you this. Look at this stat, bro. Look at this stat. Check this stat out. Okay. I think Ari Myrov posted this from My Sports Update today. This is incredible. You want to talk about, 7th round pick, Jauan Jennings, right? The craziest thing about the 49ers right now, they're in the NFC Championship. We all know that. They used a 1st round pick on only one player from their starting offense. Okay, so their starting offense, all the players have one first-round pick, right? So let's talk about it. They have Brock Purdy, last pick of the draft, right? 262. Christian McCaffrey, he was traded to the 49ers. They didn't draft him. He was acquired in a trade. They gave up a second, third, fourth, and fifth round pick. Basically nothing because they got all those other top picks back. Gave up a second, basically. Kyle Juszczyk, they signed him in free agency way back when Kyle and John Lynch took over. You had Brandon Ayuk, first round pick. He was the first round pick. They traded up to get BA. That was your first round pick. Crazy, right? That was the draft where CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, all those guys, Justin Jefferson, all those amazing receivers, except Henry Ruggs, were available, and they took BA. And then you got George Kittle, fifth round pick. You got Trent Williams. They acquired him in a trade for third and a fifth round pick. Crazy. Aaron Banks, second round pick. We all thought he was not going to be panning out. A lot of people did. And look at him. He's a hell of a left guard. Second round pick, though. Jake Brendel, free agent signing a couple years back. Spencer Burford, fourth round pick. Colton McKivitz, fifth round pick. They got him in the trade of Matt Breida a couple years back. They traded Matt Breida. They got a fifth round pick. You drafted Colton McKivitz, which is crazy because Matt Breida, he was a late round undrafted. He was an undrafted running back too. So you turned somebody that was a late round or undrafted into a fifth rounder. Boom, and he's a starter. And then you had Jauan Jennings, seventh round pick. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. And then you had Deebo Samuel, second rounder. He was a second round pick the year when they were looking at him. You know, they had DK Metcalf that year and all those big time receivers. This is a great receiver class. And Deebo Samuel was a second round pick. Crazy, man. Crazy to think about all that kind of stuff. When you put it into perspective and you see how good the 49ers have built this team and how strategic they've been, it's not because they've been hitting on first round picks. It's because they scout well, they draft amazing talent later in the draft, they find gems, and they find players they can add in free agency. They trade. You got to give credit to John Lynch. He's a hell of a GM, man, and the talent scouts on this team. I know Adam Peters isn't here. I'm sure he was a big part of that. I'm sure John Lynch, of course, has a big part of that. And Kyle Shanahan, man, like you got to look for his eye-end talent. The receivers he's taken, BA, he traded up. He needed to get BA, and he's been fantastic for this team. And Deebo was like his draft crush, one of the first draft crushes I remember. And when we were covering draft season, it was like Kyle wanted Deebo. He fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl when he was coaching, and he just was like, holy smokes, man. And he took Deebo, put him on his team, and he's been important. The second round pick, though. One first rounder, man. That is crazy. Crazy. Jocelyn says the Jennings stiff arm against the Eagles is my Roman Empire. It's great to have Jennings back. That play was incredible, by the way. But I'll tell you what, Jennings was missed. 3 weeks, concussion. I'm so happy he's back. We needed him. Needed his energy. We needed his vibe, his clutchness. Like, that's just it. It was clutch money is what Jauan Jennings brings to the table. So, love the guy. Love the guy. And it's just cool to see, like, how good the 49ers have brought this team through the year. When you really break it down and see who they drafted, and it's not all first-round picks. You know, they know how to draft and they know how to sign players. And, you know, it's funny because a lot of people always say, oh, well, the 49ers, they don't make moves. They don't do free agency. They've made trades. Christian McCaffrey, they made trades. They got Randy Gregory, free agent signings every year. They're not like sometimes spicy names. Sometimes they're not like the biggest blockbuster names. They don't care about blockbuster names. They care about guys they know that fit their system. Because I remember a couple years back, Mooney Ward, right? Travarius Ward, they went out and signed him when they needed a big-time free agent cornerback. They went and grabbed him. He wasn't the big headline name, and people are like, well, I don't know. And now he's become an all-pro player. Like, the 49ers do make signings, man. And this offseason, Javon Hargrave, they make moves. Kyle Juszczyk, man. Even that year when the 49ers first had Kyle Shanahan, he brought in players. Some of them didn't work out. Kyle Juszczyk's still here. But he brought in, like, Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin, Kyle Juszczyk. He brought in Jerick McKinnon, like all these guys. Some of them didn't pan out, but a lot of them, they were good for when they were here. And then you still have guys like, Kyle Juszczyk, man, and he's been so damn important to this team. So the 49ers do make moves. They're just not moves that the fans want. They're like, the fans want to see they want the big hot name, the juicy name. Go get me a Jalen Ramsey, which is great. I love Jalen, and I think he'd be fantastic if he's a 49er. But the 49ers said, no, we're not going to spend the big money on this guy. We're going to spend the big money on a guy like Charvarius Ward because he's up and coming, and we know he wants to prove himself and play for the money. He's going to be money motivated, and the better he plays, the more incentives he's going to get, the more money he's going to get. So that's what the 49ers do. They're smart. They get guys that are hungry, that are not proven 100%, but they're on the cusp, and then they go to the next level. And that's beautiful, man. That's motivation. You get a bunch of hungry players that are motivated to play better, win games, get your money, and get incentives for their self. They're going to do good. It's going to be beneficial for your team. Everybody eats, everybody wins, man. And that's how the 49ers do it, man. They get so many key players in so many different ways. And then the draft, man. So I love it. Except Isaiah Oliver. Steven, you're killing me. Yeah, you're right. Hey, like I said, they're not going to hit everybody. They're not going to hit on everybody. They're not going to hit on everybody. There are some exceptions. I'm not going to say they hit on everybody. Malcolm Butler, D4, trust me, they've missed. Draft pick, Solomon Thomas. Every team misses, but it's about the hits you make, the hits you get. If you hit more than you miss, then you're going to be successful. That's it. It's bottom line. You got to hit more than you miss in sports. It's just like in business, right? You want to make more than you lose out, right? So it's all about supply and demand. It's like every sport, every job. The more you take in needs to be more than you take out, obviously, right? You want to make sure you have a profit instead of a loss, and that's it. That's the same way you look at it in sports. Is you want to make sure you're getting more positive impact from people you bring in than more negative impact. The teams that are losing, they have more negative impact. Injuries, players that don't pan out, busts, draft busts, poor trades, et cetera, et cetera. 49ers have done a good job overall. Yeah, they've made some misses, but who hasn't? So we definitely need sacks as well next game. Yeah, I feel like that D-line was a little rusty, but Jordan Love, again, credit to him. He played fantastic, and I feel like he was able to beat the blitz. But I will say we need to see a little bit more out of that defensive line. I agree with you. If they're going to be a team that's going to have to stop, Lamar or something, or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, whoever heck gets there, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. So can the safety help out Ambry Thomas, the showboat? I don't know, man. Ambry didn't have his best game, but honestly, I know a lot of people wanted to pull him out. I'm kind of glad they didn't. I mean, he almost sold us the game. But Lenore and Mooney, of course, they played good. The secondary got bailed out by Dre Greenlaw. But again, it was pressure wasn't being generated. I think if they can generate more pressure, that's going to help the defense in the long run. But also, too, if they would have taken out Ambry, I think that would have really crushed his confidence. He's played really good this season. I'm not going to say he sat there and played good. He played terrible last night. PIs, he was getting just burnt everywhere. But if Lenore's strapping you up and Mooney Ward's strapping you up, and you got to throw it to someone, Jordan Love found the weak link. He exploited Ambry. He found a mismatch, and sometimes that's what happens in games. You're going to find mismatches, and Love found it yesterday. Unfortunate for the 49ers, but fortunately, we were able to kind of absorb that and still get the win. Now, if you would have taken him out, it would have shot his confidence. And we don't have a lot of battle-tested cornerbacks. Logan Ryan, he's a veteran. He wasn't bad, Jair Brown, he's a rookie. He's a safety, so he'd be out of position. Sam Womack, he didn't play, but he's young too. He's not battle-tested. And then you got a guy like Darrell Luter. He's a rookie. He hasn't really played much, so then he wouldn't be battle-tested. So it's like 49ers have a lot of cornerbacks that they're still developing, but they're rookies and or second-year players in most of those positions. So it's hard to really trust them. And Kyle doesn't want to throw, anybody to the wolves. Ambry's played, he's had some good games. He's had his fair share of poor games. But I think, if you would have taken him out mentally, he would have been gone. So next game, maybe he steps up and plays better, So you also have Isaiah Oliver, but he hasn't really played great this season. So he's also a liability. I think it sucks, but I feel like that was the best way to do it. Just let him go, and hopefully he can get his mind right. Maybe next week he'll do better if he plays. But, the secondary definitely has to play a little bit tighter coverage. But, I mean, All-Pro Mooney Ward, he had 2 big stops in the red zone. It's not like he played bad. It's not like Lenore played bad. Lenore was all over the place. He was the tone setter on defense. I feel like he's like the Jauan Jennings of the defense, man. He's just that hard hitter, scrappy guy. He wants to get in your face, get in your head. Ambry was the mismatch. And, as much as we all didn't like his play, trust me, I was screaming. I was like, what the heck's going on, Ambry? I think if they would have taken him out, man, that would have shot his confidence. So credit to Wilkes and Lynch, I guess, or Shanahan, I guess, for keeping him in there because he probably didn't have much confidence to begin with after what was going on yesterday. So let's just hope that he turns it around and makes a big play. If he makes a big play next week, it washes everything away. So 49ers throwbacks is Tampa Bay's winning. Mark my words. Woo! Okay. Let's see. We'll see, my boy. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. How's it going? I'm going good, throwback. I hope you're doing good. Minus the flags, yeah. I think a lot of his issues were just penalties too, but got to clean those kind of plays up. Those penalties didn't look too hot. You think Deebo said he would play? Yeah, I mean, yeah, Deebo did say he's okay, but you got to run tests. You might be able to feel good, but you just never know. There's players that said they feel great, and the next day, injuries happen. So let's just wait and see what happens with Deebo. We'll wait for the updates. So. Showboat says the run defense was lacking as well. Not good if they face the Lions. Yeah, if they face the Lions or maybe the Baltimore Ravens down the line, again, run defense was not looking hot. I feel like Armstead might have been a little rusty. He hadn't played in a long time. But the run defense hasn't looked good for the last couple of weeks. So it's kind of a theme. Also, Clelin Ferrell wasn't in there yesterday. He's on the injured reserve list, unfortunately, ending his season. I think that was a bigger loss than people understand. He was very good in run defense throughout the season. He was a solid player for this team, a good role player, good person on that D line, and just everybody else didn't seem like they had that. I don't know, that mentality to stop the run. Kinlaw, sometimes he's hit or miss. Hargrave's great, but he can't do everything on his own. And I feel like sometimes he's not always intense on the run. He's a great pass rusher. And then Armstead, I think he was a little, rusty. So definitely would like to see a better performance against the run in the next two games. That's definitely a key because if we're playing playoff football, the key to those games are running the football, and you got to be able to stop it. So. Steven says Clelin Ferrell won't play for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, put him on injured reserve, and you have to stay on the injured reserve for a certain amount of time. And I don't think there's no way he comes back and clears off being on the injured reserve. So his season's unfortunately done. He had a knee injury. They thought he was going to be back in time for the playoffs. Maybe next week they thought, but guess it just wasn't healing up right, and they got to make roster moves. And unfortunately, he had to be the odd man out. So. Yeah, it's tough, man. Clelin was underrated. He was a good little player this year. I think that was a nice signing. That was a guy, the Raiders, he drafted him. Obviously, he didn't live up to his draft stock, but the fact that he played and he was very productive for the 49ers, that was what we wanted out of him. We wanted a guy that could come in, give us some good production, get a few sacks here and there, stop the run, kind of like Arden Key / Samson Ebicam / Charles Omenihu. It was kind of like one of those guys. His production was very similar to those guys, and that's what we wanted. We wanted a good key role player on this defensive line, and that's what Ferrell gave us. McKivitz was buns last night, right tackle. Yeah, honestly, the offensive line's been up and down, a little sporadic. Definitely need to get a offensive line improvement in this offseason. Whatever happens, 49ers win Super Bowl or not, you got to get an offensive line upgrade because you got players like Trent Williams who knows how long he's going to be with us. He said he's coming back next year, which is amazing, but you got to get his heir apparent. You got to fix that right tackle side. It hasn't been great for a long time. The guards are not bad, but you can still upgrade and get some depth. You never know what's going to happen injury-wise. So definitely, offensive line is a key need this offseason. But let's hope they can continue to play as good as they need to play for the next two games. They did a good job of run blocking, but sometimes pass protection is just not there all the time. But Trent, as long as they follow Trent Williams, we're good. What's going on with Burford not playing, says Peter Parker? I'm not sure about that, but maybe Kyle trusts Feliciano. Again, I feel like at this point of the season, man, I think Kyle just wants to go with the veterans and guys that have played for a long time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Burford. We'll see. Yeah, we don't know if there's an injury or not. It didn't seem like it, but I think Kyle just likes his veterans, and that's just the vibe I always get from Kyle. He's a guy that loves those guys that have been there before in the moments, and he doesn't want to sell his team with inexperienced guy, which that's how you get experience is playing in those games. But that's up to Kyle. He knows what's best for his team. And John Feliciano, he's played good this year. I think he's stepped up very well when he's been in the game. Him and Burford been splitting back and forth. Maybe Kyle felt against this matchup. I think a lot of it too sometimes is just dictated by the matchup. And maybe Kyle felt like Feliciano was better in this matchup against the Packers. That's the way I look at it. So he trusts Feliciano, but not Burford. Well, the thing is, Burford's not necessarily a tackle. Well, he played a little bit of tackle in college, but he hasn't really played tackle in the pros. So, yeah, you don't want to throw Burford out at tackle if he hasn't played it much in the pros, and he's been specifically playing guard in the pros. So I think, yeah, it makes sense to me. Like, yeah, okay, Colton hasn't been great, but you don't want to play a guy, Spencer Burford at tackle if he hasn't played and developed at tackle in the NFL. It's not just as easy to say, oh, you played it a couple years back in college. It's a whole different story. You got to get your feet set a different way. It's a whole different, language playing at tackle compared to guard. So I don't want to speak for Kyle, but I think it's more of, yeah, okay, Burford, we can't just throw him at tackle and expect him to be great, great, great. And Burford has had his share of mistakes. He's had some penalties and things like that. And I feel like that might have been a reason why Kyle also didn't play Burford, is because he did have a lot of penalties this season. So yeah, I agree though, Peter Parker, that Feliciano is this year's Brunskill. He could play any part of the line, and that's why they got him. They didn't have Brunskill, so they needed that veteran, that Swiss Army knife type player, and that's exactly what Feliciano has been. He's been a beautiful Swiss Army knife for this team, man. He can get plugged in literally anywhere, and he doesn't complain. I love the guy. I saw this picture. It made me laugh. He's just like, it showed a picture side by side, showed Feliciano, and it showed Mick Foley, Mankind from WWE. The dude looks exactly like him. If you, I don't know, it made me laugh, but I love Feliciano, man. He's just a scrappy, big old offensive line. He just this old, big, scrappy dude. Typical O line. He got the beer gut, and he's just gonna block, man. He gonna block his life. He's just gonna be like, oh, you want me to play guard today? You want me to play center tackle? You want me to hold a water bottle today? I don't care. Whatever I got. He's just a football guy. I love Feliciano, man. That guy, he's classic, dude. He had that block on the CMC tell you. The guy he's good, bro. He is so good. Let me see if I have the picture. Because that picture had me cracking up, dude. Look at that. John Feliciano and Big Foley. You never seen them both in the same room before at the same time. This guy, that had me dying. I love Feliciano, man. Bro looks like Mick Foley, man. Oh, man. That's class. Look at that, man. The dude's like his doppelganger, bro. It's literally Mick Foley. Look at that. Literally Mick Foley, man. That is classic, dude. I love Feliciano, man. That's funny, dude. Lake Show says Jordan Love pulled a Brett Favre. Yeah, hell yeah, he did. He was a gunslinger. He was making, game. He was trying to be the hero. He was playing hero ball, and that's dangerous. And, as great as Jordan Love played, he definitely tried to be the hero last night. And again, that's a recipe for disaster. And again, look at the game, man. The 49ers, they made their mistakes early. Packers made their mistakes late. They kept the Niners in the game, and Brock was able to snap out of the funk and stay focused, and he was the one that delivered the clutch money drive at the end. So people aren't going to talk to you much about it. People aren't going to say, oh, look how poised Brock was at the end. They're going to say, oh, okay, he got lucky in that last drive. If Jordan Love would have made that game-winning drive, it would have been oh my God, Jordan Love is him. But hey, he made the big plays that cost his team down the line, just like Brett Favre. I agree. So, yeah. Anyways, y'all have a good rest of your day. I'm gonna get ready to watch this game between the Lions and Bucks. I'm gonna order some pizza here. Let's get some pizza. Watch some football games. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll be live at the conclusion of this game. When we find out who the 49ers are playing in the NFC Championship game, we'll be live and we're gonna talk all about it. So you guys have a good rest of your day, man. I love you. Go Niners, man. Happy Victory Sunday. Bless you guys. And yeah, unbelievable vibes tonight. The energy's high. I'm excited, man. And next week's going to be fantastic. Whoever we play, It's going to be a great week leading up to it. The content's going to be amazing. And again, you guys just enjoy your Sunday stress free, knowing the Niners secured the dub yesterday in one of the most iconic 49er games of all time, man. Division games. The 49ers have given us some classic division games over the years. I tell you what, Packers 2021, that game was classic. Last night, the 2012 Saints game was a classic. The 49ers, thank you, 49ers, for providing me with some of the most amazing moments in my life, but also the most stressful moments of my life. Honestly, I'm probably going to die 10 years before I should have in my life because of the 49ers. They've taken so many years off of our lives. Stress, the gray hair. I'm stressed out because of the 49ers, but I wouldn't change it for the world, man. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I love ya. Bang, bang, Nana gang. My stress levels haven't went down either, Lake Show.